4, 2, 2, 3, 4. What's up guys, Brandon Johnson here again, and thanks for joining me. Today we're taking a look at the classic old-time fiddle tune, Arkansas Traveler. This is a great tune for beginners and intermediates alike because it has a fairly simple chord form, 2 chords, open D and open A, and the melody is very recognizable, so it's the kind of thing where you can connect the melody to the fingerings fairly easily. And it's a really good introductory level bluegrass flat picking tune. Now this particular version I got from one of my favorite versions of this song by Clarence White, who's one of my favorite pickers of all time. And he plays it more on the high register, so on the higher strings. So I hope you enjoy this one, and let's check it out. All right, let's take a look at Arkansas Traveler now. So we're taking a look here at the pickup measure. So that's the measure that's right before measure number 1. And what we're going to do is when we count into the song, we're going to give it 2 4 counts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And when you hear that 2, 2, 3, 4, that's where you're going to come in with this pickup. Okay, so this pickup here is going to consist of 2 strings, the high B and the high E string. Basically, we're going to start with the 3rd fret B and the 5th fret high E together. So those 2 notes. Now in the tab there, I just have the 3rd fret and the 5th fret being played together. However, what you can do is you can actually slide into that. Now, if this isn't comfortable for you, if you're more of a beginner or if you're not comfortable playing this kind of a slide, you can certainly leave this out and just play what I have on the tab, and that's a downstroke on those 2 strings. But kind of a cool thing you can do here is you can slide in from that 2nd fret B to the 3rd fret B while playing that same downstroke. Okay, what I'm doing there is I'm playing a half step slide with my index finger while letting the notes ring out. Okay, so after that we're going to do a little bit of a cross picking pattern between 2 strings, the B and the E string. So we're just going to hold this, and I have this held with my index finger and my little finger here. You may find it more comfortable to play it with your ring finger, but just experiment and find the fingering that works best for you. But in this particular example here, we're just going to play it with our index finger and our little finger. So after we play that downstroke on that 3rd fret B to 5th fret high E, we're going to do a little bit of a cross-picking pattern here. And this pattern is going to be groupings of 3. If you look at the tab there, you'll see 3rd fret B on a downstroke to 5th fret high E on an upstroke, and then back to 3rd fret B on a downstroke. Now we're planting, on our left hand here, we're planting our index and our little finger on those 2 notes while we play this, and we're going to focus on cross-picking with our right hand. Now right at the end there, you're going to see an open B on a downstroke. So what that's going to be is it's going to be just a little bit kind of a conclusion note right at the end of this pickup, right before we go into the beginning of the form or the beginning of the melody in measure number 1. And then with the slide up. Okay, so after we play that open B, that's going to lead us into measure number 1. Okay, so that's the beginning of measure number 1 now, and that's the most recognizable part of this song is the first measure there, and it's the really the theme of this melody, and we come back to this and repeat it later on in the song, and actually later on in part A. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start on a downstroke. Remember, we were coming off of that pickup on a downstroke on the open B string, and then we're going to play another downstroke on the open high E to start measure number 1. Now measure number 1 is all alternating picking. So what you'll notice there is that the downstrokes and the upstrokes alternate on each note. So right there, that B string, we're going to hit that 3rd fret B to open B. And those are 16th notes, and then we have an 8th note, right? So there's a little bit of syncopation and a little bit of timing right there to this measure that's important for this melody. So it starts out quickly with 16th notes, and then the second half of the measure continues on with 8th notes. And one thing you might notice there is we're playing very closely around this open D chord shape right here. It's a triad between the 2nd fret high E, 3rd fret B, and then the G string 2nd fret. And that's your open D chord shape. And this melody really just uses the notes straight out of that chord shape. Okay, so now you're starting to kind of hear the melody of this song, and it's a very familiar melody. And when you're learning this, you really want to connect that melody in your mind to the fingerings on the fretboard. So you always want to have that melody, sort of in the back of your mind. And in this particular song, it's a very familiar melody, so it's fairly easy to do. Now in measure number 2 here, we're going to be moving to the A chord. Okay, so measure number 2 now, we're working with a couple of open notes here, an open high E. We're starting on a downstroke. And even though we're playing over an A chord, the reason that it works to play the melody over the D, or using notes from the D scale, is because the song is in the key of D. And most of this melody is going to be played with your index finger and your middle finger. All right, now let's play measures 1 and 2 to the metronome, and we're going to include the pickup here so that we can hear how kind of this is all tied together. I'm going to give it a 2-bar count. We're going to start playing that pickup on the 2nd bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. One, two, three, 4, 2. Okay, and that leads us into measure number 3. Okay, measure number 3 now. You'll notice that measure number 3 and measure number 1 are actually identical. So they're identical in the notes that are played, and they're also identical in the chord, the D chord that we're playing over this measure. So we've already covered this, but we'll just go over it one more time. And that's kind of what makes this song a good beginner tune, because it has a very clear melodic theme that repeats in part A. All right, now let's take a look at measure number 4. Okay, so now in measure number 4 here, we're playing what is kind of a typical bluegrass turnaround type of a lick. And we're playing this over a D chord to an A chord to a D chord. The turnaround, what it does is it gives the ear, it kind of indicates that you're going to be playing either a new part or another section, or you're going to be, in this case, you're going to be repeating measures 1 through 4. So you see that repeat sign there at the end of measure number 4. And that means we're going to repeat all of what is before that repeat sign. So measures 1 through 4. In this case, we're going to leave out the pickup, which is why that measure is not numbered. It's only meant to be played at the very beginning of the song. So one thing that I think it's important to point out here is that the first 2 notes of measure number 4 are 16th notes. And then the third note, that 3rd fret B, is an 8th note. So that's really important so that the notes land in the right time. 8th note, so in other words, there's sort of a pause there, right? So, we're playing pause, okay, so after that open G right there, then on the upstroke, that open G, we're going to move into an A chord, and we're going to start on that 2nd fret D to 4th fret D. That's a really common bluegrass interval right there. And it kind of has that cascading sound that you're used to hearing in other bluegrass tunes maybe. And that open D, of course, is going to land on the D chord at the end of measure number 4. Okay, so let's take a look at measures 3 and 4 now to the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's take a look at all of part A just one time through to the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. One, two, three, 4, 2. Okay, now let's take a look at all of part A, and we're going to use the repeat sign this time. So what's going to happen is we're going to play it all the way through once, measures 1 through 4 with the pickup, and then we're going to repeat it, except we're not going to play the pickup the second time through, so you can hear how to transition from measure number 4 back into measure number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. One, two, three, 4, 2. Okay, and that leads us into part B.